I had warned people for years, but they thought I was just talking. They said I didn't like Showboy. They said I was picking on him. They said he was realer than most boys. But anybody who truly understood the streets could smell the fakeness from a mile away. Showboy had always been the type who talked too much, moved too loudly, and acted emotionally in moments where a real street boy would stay calm, observe, and strategize. And every time he got angry, he threatened to expose somebody. That alone should have told the boys around him that he was not someone to play close to. But clout and loyalty blinded them. And today, here we are. The way he threw AMG David Deuces under the bus confirmed everything I had been shouting about. He didn't even blink. He didn't hesitate. He didn't pull back. The moment the issue got heated, he jumped on live TikTok and went full Judas mode. He started calling David a scammer publicly. He said David needed to be arrested and investigated because he is a scammer, covering it up by influencing. He mentioned the Ghana police, the Economic and Organized Crime Office, the FBI, and the Office of the Special Prosecutor, like he were reading out a list of agencies he had rehearsed long ago. And the way he delivered it calm, confident, and excited showed that this wasn't a slip of the tongue. This was intentional. This was planned. This was a boy who wanted to see another boy fall. People who watched the live knew this wasn't ordinary talk. He went deeper than any normal grievance should go. He started dropping details, mentioning deals, transactions, movements, and comments that only an insider would know. It was almost like he had been keeping receipts just for a rainy day. And this was the day he chose to open his folder. That was when everyone realized Showboy was not angry, he was weaponizing information. The surprising part wasn't even the claims against David. Anyone who had been on the internet long enough knew David was a game boy. Nobody needed CNN to tell them that. He had built a reputation as someone who moved deals for boys, settling disputes, linking international connections, acting as a middleman, and making sure funds got to the right people. That was his lane, and he played it well. He never hid it, he never denied it. In fact, the entire Game Boy community respected him because he stuck to his role quietly without stepping on toes. But the betrayal, that was the part nobody expected. Because AMG had always presented itself as a family. If your brother fell, you defended him in public and corrected him in private. That was the code. That was the honor. But Showboy breaking that code live online in front of thousands felt like someone tearing a flag in public. And remember, this wasn't just anybody. This was a boy who shouted AMG up and down, used the name for hype, and tried to attach himself to the legacy whenever he needed validation. When a snitch rises from inside your own camp, it hits harder than anything from outside. People didn't even want to believe it at first. Some said Showboy was just angry. Others said he was hurt and talking out of emotion. But the way he kept going, the way he kept repeating the agencies he wanted David to be investigated by, the way he started giving more and more details, it became clear that this wasn't an emotional outburst. It was a boy who had lost his relevance and wanted to burn the entire house so people would talk about him again. What made this even more serious was the timing. The lifestyle audit law was almost ready. Ghana wasn't playing anymore. The government wanted to show the world that they were cracking down on illicit wealth, unexplained affluence, and financial crimes. Agencies like the Economic and Organized Crime Office, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, and even the Ghana Police CID were already monitoring the streets quietly. They were gathering intelligence, connecting dots, and compiling names. The FBI had already expanded the international monitoring systems and was partnering with Ghana on multiple fronts. Everybody in the fraud ecosystem had reduced their noise because they knew the net was tightening. This was the worst possible moment for a boy like Showboy to start pointing fingers. Because snitching isn't just about complaining. Snitching is about giving agencies a direction. Agencies don't arrest people by mistake, they follow leads. So when someone from your own circle goes online and mentions your name, your deals, your movements, and your connections, trust me, these agencies don't ignore that. They screen record, they file, they follow the trail. Now imagine this. The agencies were already watching. They already knew which boys were moving heavy. They already had hints, but they lacked specific details. Suddenly, a noisy insider comes online and connects the dots for them. It's like he handed them the missing puzzle piece. People think the boys watching online were the only ones paying attention. No. The real audience was the men in offices wearing suits and badges. They heard everything. Those agencies were already running lifestyle analysis. They were tracking flashy spending, sudden bank movements, expensive cars, unexplained travels, and offshore transactions. When Showboy repeated David's name, he simply made the job easier. And we all know how these agencies work. They won't come today, they won't come tomorrow. But when they come quietly and they come fully. The boys on the streets knew what was coming next. A snitch in the circle attracts law enforcement like sugar attracts ants. And once the agencies pick an interest in one name, they start following every link around that name. Suddenly, David's friends, business associates, regular hangouts, old conversations, and digital footprint all become part of the picture. One snitch doesn't affect only one person, it exposes an entire chain. And that is why Showboy's betrayal hit harder than normal beef. It wasn't about insults. It wasn't about dragging someone online. It was about exposing an entire ecosystem that had survived on silence, loyalty, and internal discipline. Every Game Boy fears only three things: the police, the Economic and Organized Crime Office, and a snitch from within. And unfortunately for AMG, they got the third one loud and clear. The streets haven't forgotten, and trust me, the agencies haven't either.
Kruma, influencer, no, they build you house. Opa Mayoko from Brighton Bay lifestyle audit, so over pass here, untmin pass it. Untmin pass it. Why I made the man, how they sit down. Endorsements influencer, there was now saying, and so no, AMG for NDB. Frewa don't pon country, what say, gee, Charlie Pizza man for crowd on the crown, you know. Yeah, mammy say, yeah, mammy 200,000 Ghana cedis for 1 year into no time. Person man label maybe a man label no a 20,000 bisham on yet or they found fooling. David Deuces they found fooling to be me punching out or being tears in time me punch saquano or they found fooling at the chi aye still now on tia or ye we no one or dear or share trending artists back or smoke. And oh, no, my brother, kwaku smoke twem wi na na kwaku hwi foforo. Ni wadwuma no so omonyo. Only fans. Yen musicians, yen fans. Yen record label owners no. Yen fans. And na audio influencing. In that sometimes it sounds like me dream. I say na pizza man wo Jimmy ana. Pizza man. Yeah, fraud boys. AMG, yeah, fraud boys are your friend and say Yankopon ya do my music kakakra. No matter employ another fraud boy say on represent him. Onye smart, pizza man for the go many months you no more money. Maybe say me train platform can save my council. Oh my AMG boy be ambassador de la. A fraud boy now I employ no. Oh employ nyansani bia fraud boy. Now I can say street boy no only views only she. A fraud ni na ala ni aye nti we business owner ko employ our fraud boys we no represent no more young one can book it because only my post man boss your company is also associated with fraud. I'm telling you, if we want to actually get into details in this country and we have to be very, very smart and elective talking, if you employ somebody that is into fraud and has a fraud background, my brother, your company also automatically become a fraud.